What's up, everybody? This is my week 3 check-in for my WNBA in-season challenge. Um, my goal through this season is to see if I can gain 4 or 5 pounds of lean mass, and so this is my third week of checking in on that. So let's take a look at how I did. What I've got up here is just sort of a snapshot of one of my travel packages of food that I put together. So we went up to the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut for our game up there, and they don't have a ton of options. There's lots of restaurants, but there's no grocery stores nearby. Everything's just kind of tough to get to. So this just shows what I brought with me. I've got a couple yogurts, a couple protein shakes, 6 ounces of raspberries and blackberries, some reduced sugar, oatmeal, a couple cans of tuna packed in olive oil, some tortillas, and then these little guys are called Perfect Bars, and they're just like my absolute favorite snack to bring with me. What else do I have? Some salad and carrots. Okay, kind of my usual stuff, but I can make several meals out of that. That if I'm having a tough time, finding food that I want to eat, I can always rely on this. All right, so let's check in on my tracking. Put myself over here, and let's see how I actually did on my tracking. So as you can see here, I've got the schedule running on the left-hand side, and this is the week we're talking about, week 3. So it started off with our trip to New York and ended with our first game of a back-to-back against Chicago, which was in town. In the middle, we went up to Connecticut. As I'd mentioned last week, I had not weighed myself in ages, and I said I was going to do so this week, so I did it. What I found out is that my weight was a little bit heavier than I was expecting, so that's fine. It is what it is. It's likely, a result of some of the food choices I was making in the evenings on a lot of days. We have something at home that we call the candy bar, and it's basically just a lot of different kinds of candy that we set out for family movie night, or whenever we kind of want some candy. And I've been definitely tapping into that over the last month, I would say. So anyhow, I started tracking that, and you can see that there. Started getting some waist measurements as well. And then over here are just my actual macronutrients and calories. You can see I've got definitely one high day. I kind of did that one on purpose because this in-between day was so low. I can't remember why that happened, but it was just very, very low. I'm almost never at lack for hunger, but on that particular day, I think I just wasn't hungry for some reason. So I did feel like I needed to make up for it to kind of even out the calories for the week, and that's what I did. Okay, if we take a look over here at the resistance training and cardio, I was able to take advantage of the time that I had available while we were traveling, and just a lighter week sort of overall from kind of other commitments that had prevented me from getting in my training on this block of 4 days. So that was great. It's not ideal to train total body, high volume 4 days in a row. I'd prefer to do 2 days, break a day, 2 days, and then weekend off. But this was where I had the time, and I'm just a big believer in that if I have the time, I need to do it, because I know that another week like what I had previously is going to come up again. So I just want to take advantage of those times. And then you can see here, I am 3 days into another 4 days straight probably of getting my program in. On the cardio piece, I was again kind of able to add in some things that I hadn't been in a while, which were some runs. And so that felt really good to get out and get those things done. Kind of helps my step goal get achieved a little faster. And then daily steps over here. I think I did a little bit better this week, but I had a couple days. I think these were travel days. Yeah, so that was that was at least 1 or 2 travel days in there. And those days when we're just traveling can be really hard to get in the steps, honestly. Going over here to tracking sleep, soreness, hunger, etc. I didn't do a fantastic job with this. I think I wasn't wearing my watch at night for a bunch of days, so I didn't have the actual sleep information, and I just didn't bother, I guess, filling in these other things. Over here, monthly cycle, I've been tracking that. It's actually 3 days that I highlighted in this kind of light red. Those are days when I'm just not feeling very good, and I know that, sort of my period's going to start soon. So I just kind of wanted to note that. It's not something I've tracked before, but I was doing that in this case. And then interestingly enough, on this 4th day, I was feeling fine again. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see here. So this was a day that I wanted to talk about, this highlighted yellow day. And you can see I only got 4 hours of sleep, but still managed to get 45 minutes of deep sleep, which is kind of on the low end of what my norm is. And I usually will feel decent if I'm able to get that. So if we check out what was going on that day, why did I only get 4 hours of sleep? So this was a night when we had a game in Connecticut and then flew home that evening, which meant I think I got in bed or got home probably about 1:30 in the morning and maybe got to bed about 2. So, and I went ahead and wanted to see my kids in the morning. I wanted to take them to school because I hadn't been able to do that in a few days. So I went ahead and got up at my usual time, took them to school, and then went ahead and got in my training for the day. One of the things that was kind of curious to me was when I went out for just like a real light, I call it a 30-30 run. Basically, I run for 30 seconds, I walk for 30 seconds. If I'm feeling amazing, I run fast for 30 seconds. If I'm feeling really, really, really amazing, I run fast for 30 seconds, jog for 30 seconds. So it's really something that almost no matter how I feel, I can do some variation of that as like a first thing in the morning activity for me. See how I'm feeling, it wakes me up. I'll do it for 20 or 30 minutes. So I was able to get that in the morning after I dropped my son off. And the thing that was really surprising to me was like I felt tired, but when I was actually moving, I actually felt really good, which was a surprise to me. And so when I finished this up, I hadn't eaten yet. I had some yogurt and I went ahead and drove right over to the gym. It was one of the days where I need a commercial gym to get to, so it's just got a lot more volume and a lot more weight that's used from the machines. And that's one of the advantages of machines in a commercial gym. So I headed over and I kind of found the same thing. Like once I got moving, my lift was just going really well. And if you compare this day to the prior lift, I did, about 5,000 more pounds of volume. So that was cool. But one of the things that occurred to me, like while I was lifting, here's my screenshot of my sad bedtime and wake up time from that day. But one of the things that occurred to me while I was lifting, and I was just kind of like, boy, I can't believe how good this lift is going. And so I went ahead and I checked in on some of the data on my phone, and I wanted to look at HRV, so heart rate variability, and I looked at my deep sleep, right? And so my deep sleep, as I already said, I got that 45 minutes, which 45 minutes to like an hour is really my norm. And if I get that, I'm feeling decent. I've noticed that. The other thing that can be pretty impactful on how you're feeling and how your body's working is this HRV number. So I went ahead and checked in at that, and again, I was just really surprised to see how high it was this kind of like late into the day. It's not uncommon for my HRV to be really, really high like overnight or very first thing in the morning, but then it'll kind of drop down. But when I checked this out, I guess it was at 9 o'clock or so, apparently, or obviously it's at 9 o'clock. My HRV was on the higher side. Certainly for the week, you can see it was at a peak at this point. And so that was just sort of, something I'm filing away. I definitely had a great training session despite my lack of sleep. I think, you know, maybe this was kind of there was maybe a little bit of a lag effect that I'm gonna feel this week, this upcoming week. Um, but I had banked some good days of sleep and rest. I'm not really sure, but it was just sort of interesting and something that was really noteworthy because I don't always feel great. So this was really a welcome surprise. All right, so we went over the tracking. Let's check in on the progress. So this is where all the data is kind of pulled in, and then I can see how I'm tracking relative to my goals. Weekly weight stuff is not accurate yet because I don't have that many measurements. And then waist doesn't have much going on either. Here we're pulling in like those macros that we already looked at, what my averages are, and then the compliance, which is kind of the interesting part. So again, if we go back and like look at these couple of days where I'm really just sort of wonky all over the place, up and down and up and down, ultimately from sort of how I'm choosing to look at it and how I think one should choose to look at this, we don't want to worry too much about one particular day. Oh, I ate too much this day. I was above what I'm supposed to do, or gosh, I was just way low. The main thing is weird days happen. Good, bad, and other, they happen. Where we want to really look is just stepping out a little bit and starting to look at longer periods of time, and did you sort of average out to what your goal was. This can give you a lot more flexibility, I think, to eat more mindfully based on how you're feeling, how your day is going. And just like I'm saying with my training, there's always other opportunities, so it's not worth stressing too much over one or two missed workouts or 1 or 2 days that your calories were kind of wonky, because there is an opportunity over time, which is how we make good change, to even those things out. So weekly protein average 131, carbs 165, fat 62, fiber 26, I think my goal is 25, and weekly calorie average is 1740. So I managed to drop that a good bit from the week before. I was at 95% calorie compliance, which is good. I'm giving myself, about a 5% wiggle room on either side and calling that pretty darn good. Protein compliance was great, 99%, happy with that. And then weekly average steps, I set a goal of 12,000 steps. I didn't quite get there, but I did better, or I should say, I was able to crank it up a little bit from my goal of the 10,000 steps I had the first 2 weeks. So that was great. And I scored like a 95% compliance on that again, which is again sort of hitting my goal. So I'm really happy with that. And we'll see, over the next week if some changes start to happen in some other areas. I'm interested to see how my hunger levels kind of move forward, if and when they change, which I know they will change, but if that happens next week or not. So that's all pretty good. Take a look at weekly targets. So this is the upcoming week of the 7th, and this is week 4. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my macronutrients a little bit. So dropping my fats just very slightly, dropping my carbs very, very slightly, and that ultimately drops my calories like 50 calories a day. So really not very much. And I'm going to keep my step goal where it was at 12,000. So we'll see how things go next week, but I'm feeling good. I'm really happy with just being able to kind of adjust and get these things in. And that's really my message that, I'm hoping people get from this, which is, you can be flexible and you can have rough days or great days. You just want to kind of roll with it and adjust to what you need. As a reminder, if you want to join me on this challenge, be it your own challenge or you want to do my exact program, I've got the link down below. Feel free to just pop in. All you have to do is register for it. It's absolutely free. And if anybody's got any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer.